let's go. I want to go over this again. Got 3 emails this weekend. 3 emails.
Do people just like not listen?
No, they don't listen. They don't watch. They don't watch the videos. They don't do it. They want me to tell them how to do every little thing. It's the way they've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years in high school. And I'm talking about high schools. These are high schoolers. And they've blah, 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 blah. Anyway, how many ways is there to get to MyLabs Plus? 2. How are they? 1 is through Blackboard, which never what? Works. Okay? So, you forget Blackboard, and you go to www.tcctc.mylabsplus.com. www.tcctc.mylabsplus.com. And when you get to that, you type in. This is the most reliable way because Blackboard never works. Y'all ever seen Iron Man 3? Y'all know when Mickey Rourke comes in and passes the password and everything into Hammer's. Well, that's the way Tri-County Tech is. They think they're cutting edge, but actually they're about 10 years behind. Okay? So I'm just telling you that because they are. And the reason I say that is because what we're doing now with this Polycom, you think it's new? No, it's about 5 years behind, and I've had to do everything I can to keep this from getting canked, from getting cut, because they think, no use in this.
I like this class. This is my favorite one so far.
I appreciate it. Makes me feel good. I won't have to put smokestacks on my truck. You know the reason for smokestacks on a truck? Anybody want to know what the real reason there's smokestacks on trucks for?
Is it for like pulling and stuff?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with the engine. Nothing. That's what the people that have the issues say. The only reason in the 50s when they started coming out with the big trucks, like the 18-wheelers and stuff, the tractor, the highway tractors and the big trucks, the exhaust was coming out behind the gas tank down on the ground and at the same level as the cars. So we didn't have air conditioning in all cars back then. So the only air conditioning you had was what? Your windows. So you would pull up to a red light beside one of these trucks and basically pass out from the carbon monoxide. Okay? So what they did is the Department of Transportation decided all tractors, all highway tractors, should have pipes to go up. So therefore, you don't fumigate the person beside you. That is the only reason you have smokestacks. And the only reason for smokestacks on a pickup truck is for insecurities about oneself. Hair, height, other things that we won't mention. But that's pretty much what smokestacks on a truck are for. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Some of y'all don't know stuff like that, but I figure I'd tell you. Let's see, 103.12. I'll just do that one. And there you go. All right, so there's 2 ways to get to, and I would prefer that you go through the website because the website is a whole lot more dependable. Okay? All right. Now, we left off, what did you say we left off on the other day?
I remember 298, 299.
298, what section?
Statistical reasoning.
No, what, 6A, 5A, what?
5A.
We were still in 5A? Or
That's
did we
the
get
last
through
thing I
it?
wrote
Okay, let me see where we at. 5A. And you said I was on 2 what? 2 what? 299. Yes, we were on this. Okay. Yeah, I think I left off on this page right here. And we moved on to this page, and this is just a graphical representation of those samples. Now, we said that the best, next to the best thing as far as a random sample is a systematic random sample. Okay? A systematic random sample. Everybody with me? What is a systematic random sample? A systematic random sample is one where there is a pattern. Like every last number on the phone book page. So you go to each page in the phone book and you pick the lower right-hand corner of every page. That is a systematic random sample. Every fifth person, every 100th car, every blah, blah, blah. If you have a pattern, that's called a systematic random sample. Okay? Every blah, blah, blah. There it is right there. Every third person. Capiche? And the convenience is the most inaccurate, the most unreliable. And then there is grouping, which I gave you the example of voting precincts. Because voting precincts, you don't have to go through and say, okay, I need all these people over here, and I need all these people over here. The people that go vote are already part of a party. So they're already grouped up for you. All you have to do is ask them what they are. Are you Democrat, Republican, or other? And they're already grouped. So all you have to do is find out what they are. So that is a stratified. Okay, so make sure you know those definitions, not necessarily for the test, because I get into random sample, but I think you need to know it more for other classes as well as other standardized tests. Okay, so, ma'am?
They were on.
Yeah, they're on the homework, yes. They're on the homework, but besides systematic and random, that's pretty much the two I ask on a test. Okay, so that's good for that. And there's a picture of a caveman. All right. Or Neanderthal, sorry. And look what I said. What did I say we were going to go into after I talked about everybody has the same chance? Bias. Okay? What is bias? Write down that definition. All right. A statistical study suffers from bias if it is designed or conduct tends to favor a certain result. Do you remember when I gave you the example of me going across the United States and asking a question and blah, 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 blah? And I didn't really go across the United States. I went across the southern United States. That was bias because I wanted the outcome to become what the general South wanted. That's why I didn't go up to the northern states. That was an example. I made that up, okay? All right? So bias is the enemy of statistics. All right? How many of you have watched a football game and said that the referees were biased? Okay? That's usually that's not valid, but that's the first excuse people have when their team is getting their tails whooped. Okay? Because it's never the individual's fault. It's always someone, what? Else's fault. I.e. Russians. Okay? So, if you want to blame it on somebody, well, there's no reason, nobody to blame it on. We'll blame it on the referees. Okay? And that's the way it usually goes. Then who gets the blame after the referees? The coach. And then after the coach, you say the team sucks. Okay? That's usually the way it goes. And that's biased. A referee is not biased. It may look like he's biased because the team plays real bad. Okay? But it's usually a judge and a referee, an umpire. Usually they try to call it right down the line, meaning that they are not biased. Now that word right there on page 300, make sure you know it, because you're going to see it on all standardized tests. You're going to see it on my test. You're going to see it on the homework. So make sure you know what it means, bias. Okay? And we're going to talk more about that later. Here's another SAT word, standardized test. Write it down. I'm going to give you a minute to write it down. The two things, observational study and experiment. Observational study and experiment. That could be because we took a bath. I tell you, it's weak.
Sounds like my brother.
How can we enlarge this?
I think if it's okay.
What's wrong?
We're trying to figure out if we can enlarge the textbook on the screen somehow.
Well, you can, hold on, I'll make it bigger.
Okay.
Y'all got to talk to me. Squeaky door gets what?
Oh, I think
Squeaky door gets what?
Even his photo, everything.
You can turn
Squeaky door gets grease, people. It's your parents' fault. Okay? Squeaky door gets grease. What does that mean? It's your parents' fault. A person that has a question or a concern needs to what? They need to voice it. They need to say something. Okay? You need to ask. That's what I'm here for, to discourage you as much as possible. How's that? Is that better?
Yes.
Need to get bigger. Tell me.
Is that okay for you?
The writing is better, but we need to see the photo enlarged like before.
Okay. Say again.
The writing is better, is bold, but we need to see your photo.
Okay, you can drag it over to the other one if you need to see the other one. Just drag that big picture over to the other side.
Okay.
Maybe that might help.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Like him?
Oh, that one. Okay, hold on. Look to the right of me. Look to the right, and there's a little white arrow. Click on that arrow. The right side of my picture. There you go. Now move that over and maximize it.
Okay.
I don't know why you want to see me. You need to see.
Fine. Oh, good.
I don't know why you need to see me. Y'all hear me? Okay, whatever. And you can make it bigger if you minimize your screen. So go to the top, I think, and there's a little arrow that's pointing down. Minimize that screen. Okay, do it over. Mr. Swords, go ahead and click on the white. Okay, move that over, maximize it.
There you go.
Okay, now, on top of your picture, which is your class picture, there should be a little white arrow. Click on it, and it'll minimize that one. There you go. How's that?
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know why you want to see me. I ain't got anything to do with it. But anyway, there's the observational study. What is an observational study? An observational study, has anybody ever seen those videos of people sleeping, sleep apnea videos, where people are wired up and the TV camera's on them, and it's usually in green screen or like, dark, whatever. What is it called? Night vision. And the person is sleeping, flipping up and down, sitting up. You ever seen those? That's called an observational study. Why is it called an observational study?
Because they don't want to interfere with it. But
Interfere. Write that down. Non-interference. An observational study is when you just stare at somebody, or you just look at somebody, or you just watch somebody. It's kind of perverted, but that's what an observational study is. You're watching people do whatever, and you're gaining information from that.
That's what I want to do. Observational study.
Observational study, yes.
Okay.
You can actually a lot of times, if you're doing a car count in the parking lot, how many cars are blue, how many are red, and you're watching them come in and go out. That is observational study. Then if an observational study is watching, then what is an experiment? It can be watching too. But what an experiment is when you interject or you interfere or you inject something into the study. Let me give you an example. The sleeping study. That's observational. But what if every time somebody moved, I shot them with electricity? That would be an experiment. Okay? Whenever something is introduced into a study, it turns from a study to an experiment. Capisce?
Sí.
Comprende? Or comprendo?
No, sí.
Okay, whatever. Do you understand? Okay,
Yes.
There you go. Now, are those are homework problems, but that's probably a good standardized test question. Whether you're taking a nursing exam or whether you're taking an employment exam or a entry-level exam, that is a good standardized test question. You're not going to fail this class if you don't know the difference between the two, but it will be on your homework. It might be on your test, but that's a big might. All right, I gotta go down a little bit here. Hold on a second. Always allow pop-ups. Done. Okay, I gotta go down because I can't see what. There we go. All right, that's that page. I'm not going to do that. Placebo. Placebo effect. What is the placebo effect? Can somebody tell me from their vast experience, what is the placebo effect? Okay, y'all write that down. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's see if I can pull up. Just give me a second. Might as well, okay, there we go.
I watched this episode last night.
Did you?
Yes.
That's my favorite. This is my favorite show.
Me too. It sounds crazy, but I started watching it with my grandma.
Yep.
Miss
Let's see. I don't
Miss
think
Emma.
I know it's Miss Emma, but I was trying to find just the scene. Miss Emma. Emma Brands. Actually, she has two last names. That's part of trivia. But anyway, Miss Emma. Doubt I won't be able to find it. Regular Sandtown. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. But that's not the. Well, anyway, there's a scene in one of Andy Griffith's where this lady. This is Emma Brands right here. She's got all kinds of problems. She's like my ex-mother-in-law's. No, I'm not going there. But anyway, she basically, she's one of those people you don't ask how she is. Well, in this episode, she goes to get her medicine at the drugstore, and the drugstore person, the pharmacist, is a new pharmacist. I'm not going to get into details, but the pharmacist is that lady right there. Okay, that's kissing Andy. Okay. Anyway, she don't give her prescription because she don't have a prescription. She don't give it to her. Well, the reason is that she has been getting sugar pills all this time, and that's why she don't have to have a prescription. And she thought she was going to die, and she found out, the pharmacist found out that it was sugar pills. So she brought her the sugar pills, and she started taking them, took 2 sugar pills, and she started feeling better. Okay, that's the episode. I'm going to see if I can find it. Let's see.
Don't have them more often.
Yeah, come on.
I'll see.
Andy, don't you want to know, did I have a pain last night?
Oh,
Anyway.
Of course I do.
I don't think it's going to
Started right
show.
here in the second, clean on up my neck.
When you have a pain, it really goes places.
Yeah, that's not going to show it. But anyway, she's like dying of pain and all this stuff, and then at the end, when she's about dead, the female pharmacist comes up to her and gives her a pill, and then she feels better. And the whole time, there's nothing wrong with her to begin with. So that is what we call the what effect?
Placebo.
Placebo effect. The placebo effect is when something is given to you and you think it does something. Okay? That's the placebo effect. Now, do you need that to understand mathematics? No. Do you need it to understand statistics? Yes. Okay? There's some instances to where you will do surveys or experiments and the placebo effect is introduced into the study and turns it into a what? An experiment. I'm going to give this group a red pill, and I'm going to give this group a green pill. The red pill is real medication. The blue pill, or whatever the green pill, is not medication. It is a sugar pill. And then at the end of the study, this group lost 20 pounds on the real medicine, and this group lost 25 pounds on the sugar pill. So what does that say about the medicine? It doesn't work. Okay, that's why you use the sugar pill theory, or the placebo effect. Placebo is basically a sugar pill. It is one of the best example of a placebo that there is. Okay? It's a good word. Make sure you know it. You can use it to impress people. Make you feel smart. Make them think you smart. Right? Yep, that's what some people do. I'm not going to do the double blind thing. That's confusing to a lot of people. Okay, a retrospective study. A retrospective study is a study that basically goes into the what? What does retro mean? Past. A study that goes into the past, or a study that uses old what? Data. I can tell you right now, that's not on the test. It may be on the homework, but it's not on the test.
There's like 2 questions, and it gives you like an experiment or a study, and you have to figure out if it's a study or an experiment, and if it's a study, you have to
in retrospect. Yeah.
So,
God, you're actually doing the homework?
yeah, I already
Wow.
finished it.
I don't know how to feel. Usually people don't do homework. I feel faint.
I have to make myself do it.
This is no joke, and I'm going to make fun of this person because they're not in this class. I got an email just now, before I came in, and the student says, I had no idea we were supposed to do this. I have made 2 videos for these people, first day, second day, just like I've done y'all. I have sent them 5 emails, because it's an online class, telling them about what they were supposed to have to do today. And as of Friday, 27 people had done the assignment. So what does that mean if 27 people out of 30 have done the assignment?
They knew they were supposed to do it.
Exactly. That means that I did my job, right? 10%, there's always one. 3 people didn't do the assignment. What's 10% of 30? 3. Golly, it's amazing. There's always one. Margin of error, that has to do with 2 things. I want you to write those 2 things down. Now, margin of error is usually a number that is the upper and lower bound of a confidence interval. Okay? Margin of error is the upper and lower bound of of confidence interval. And there's confidence interval right there. Okay? Margin of error is the upper and lower bound, or upper and lower parameters, upper and lower bound, whatever you want to call it, of a confidence interval. So the next time you see a poll, this would be an example. The next time you see a poll on TV or in a magazine or in a periodical, then look at the bottom of the poll and it'll say margin of error 3%, margin of error 5%, margin of error 2%. That means that whatever the proportion is in the middle, you got 2 or 3 points above it and 2 or 3 points below it. That means that the confidence interval is 2% above and below, or 2% or 5% above and below. And the confidence interval is basically a confidence interval like 90% or 100% or whatever. The lower the percentage points, the better the data. If you ever see a poll with 5% margin of error or more, then the poll is not worth a flip. Okay? That's just a little bit, words that you might see, like standardized test. See, here's an example of a margin of error right there. The upper and what? Lower bound. The sample statistic is in the middle. Let's say 52%. Then the margin of error is 2%. So this is 54% and this is 50%. You go 2 to the right, that's add, 2 to the left, that's minus. We'll get into that later, but that's what margin of error is. It's the bound, it's the upper, that's that one right there, and the lower bound of a sample statistic. So if it's 2%, you'd add 2% on this side, you subtract 2% on this side. Here's an example. I'll just give you an example, and you can write it down. You don't have to write it down verbatim, but you can write it down like, just ad lib. Electionee 52% with a margin of error of 3%. That's all you need to write down. Election poll, 52% surveyed voters for Smith with a margin of error of 3%. So the middle is 52%. So what are you going to do with those 3 percentage points to the right? You're going to add it. Now it'll give you 55%. You're going to subtract it on the left. That will give you 49%. So the margin of error is 49% to 55%. That's your lower bound and your upper bound. Just basically addition on the right, subtraction on the left. And that's example 6. So just if you don't want to write it all, just put example 6, page 304. Example 6, page 304, margin of error. And that's 5A. Now we're in, is it 5C? Somebody look in your book. Anybody got a book? Where's 5C? What page? I'm going to jump to it. 319. A frequency table. A frequency table is a 25-cent word for that. A chart. Okay? A frequency table is a 25-cent word for a chart. And to the right, write that down. My vibrator's going off. There we go. 5.1. There it is. There's a frequency table. So what you need to write down is frequency table. And you don't even need to write the definition. You can just look at it and know what a frequency table is. A frequency table is a summation of data. Instead of writing A, C, C, B, C, D, C, C, all that, you can just put it in order and then put it in categories. Now we're going to talk about the difference between a category and a class. We're going to talk about that in just a second. A frequency table is a summation of data in a chart form. Summation of data in a chart form. Submission of data in a chart form. I made bread this weekend. A lot of people say, what? I cooked me some bread. It's keto bread that doesn't have any carbs in it. So I made me a sandwich last night, and I only could eat one because it filled you up. But anyway, if you never made keto bread, it's kind of a mix between cheese bread and pizza crust. It's kind of a mix. It's good stuff. I'll shut up. I'm talking too much. Y'all got that down? Now, what is the difference between a category and a class? Well, that's where we get into quantitative data versus qualitative data. What's the old saying about quantity and quality? What's the old saying? You want quantity, not what? Quality. Or quality, but not quantity. It goes back both ways. Okay? Let me give you an example. My mother makes the best chicken salad that you can make. Okay? Now, I don't tell everybody that my mother's the best cook in the world, because she's not. Okay? But she makes the best chicken salad that I think anybody I've ever put in my mouth, because I've tried the store brand. I won't even buy it. I'm spoiled. There's three things my mother makes that I will not eat unless I make it, because she gave me the recipe. All right? And that is spaghetti and hot dogs and chicken salad. Okay? I will not even go to a hot dog place to get hot dogs, because once you've had my mother's hot dogs, and the chili actually has color, not that gray chili that looks like nuclear chili. It don't have any color to it. My mother's chili is like a chili looking chili. I mean, it looks like chili. Anyway, make a long story short, my mother makes the best chicken salad in the world, but she doesn't make it all the time. But my father always said, you should start making that and selling it. Well, what would happen if she did? Well, she would worry more about quantity versus quality, and they would start curbing the ingredients because they were making more in bulk, and the quality would go down, and the quantity would what? Go up. All right? How many of you have ever seen SpongeBob SquarePants when Mr. Krabs sells the Krusty Krab to, what's it called, O'Grady's or whatever? Yeah.
Krabby on Mondays.
Yeah, Krabby on Mondays. Y'all ever seen that in an episode? What do they do to the Krabby Patties? They quit making them with lettuce, tomato, and they just make it out of this what?
Great, nasty.
Yeah, this nasty stuff. Quality, not quantity. Quantity, not quality. Qualitative data is A's, B's, C's, and D's. Blonde, brunettes, redheads, blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes. Of course, we all know brown eyes much better. Okay? Brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. What percent of the population has green eyes?
It's like 2, right?
2%. Good job. How'd you know that?
I don't know.
You just know that. Trivia. Okay? I'm not talking about hazel. I'm talking about green. I mean, emerald green eyes. 2% of the population has green eyes. What is the most popular? Brown. Okay? Dang old Middle East. That's why. Dang old Middle East and Africa. That's why. That's where a lot of the origins of everything comes from. Okay? So that's why, and you can fuss all you want to, but that's why most people have brown eyes. Okay? I'll shut up. So, what do we have? A, B, C, and D. That is a category. Category goes with qualitative data. Write that down. Qualitative. And let me just go to the next page and see if they're going into quantity. Hold on a minute. Let me find it. Just hold on. There it is. I tell you what, I'm smart. There you go. Qualitative data. Qualitative is categories. Give me an example of qualitative data. Somebody name something. I just gave you some examples a while ago. Y'all should.
Eye color.
Eye color. What?
Hair color.
Hair color and grades. I'm trying to get it where it's there. Qualitative data means categorical data, categories. Okay? So that means quantitative data means classes. So you need to put qualitative, category. Quantitative is classes. And what else does quantitative mean? Something that can be measured or counted. All right, anybody got a question about those two things? Qualitative means that you're going to use categories. Quantitative means that you're going to be using classes, like ages 18 to 21, and 22 to 25, and 26 to 29, and 30 to 33. That's classes. Shoe sizes. 5 to 7, 8 to 10. You know, the shoe sizes that can be counted or measured. So that would be classes. Now we're going to talk about the different types of numbers in just a minute, but I'm going to go back to the previous page and go back to this one right here. Now, somebody, I'm trying to get this to work, but it's not working with me because I've got it blown up so big because I do so much for y'all. I'm going to have to go down a little bit. And it keeps going to the freaking top of the page. It's so irritating. I don't know what we're going to do with these Russians. There we go. I had 2 semesters ago, I had a Math 120 class, and there was a guy in there. He was from Russia, and it was a dual enrollment class, so everybody was high school students. And every time something would happen to one of the high school students, they blamed him for it. It was funny. We were having fun with it. You know, sense of humor. You know, not many people have it, but he had one, and we had fun with it. Okay, I'll shut up. Frequency. Frequency is a 25-cent word for what? Head count. So, what is a frequency table? It's a chart with a head count and categories. Here is the frequency. 4 people made a what? A. 7 people made a what? B. 9 people made a C. 3 people made a D. 2 people made an F and going to live in a ditch. Really, 5 people are going to live in a ditch. Okay, because this guy, he's going to be average the rest of his life. And these 2 people are going to live in the ditch. And these 2 people are going to do good. Okay? I'm sorry, these categories. All right, so a frequency is a head count. But you don't want to call it that because you're not fancy. So you got to call it frequency. And then together you call it a frequency table, or you call it a frequency distribution. But all it is a head count. Capiche? So, what makes up a frequency table? A category or a class, and a what? A head count or a frequency. I guarantee you some of y'all did not know what frequency meant until I said head count. Unless you've had this class before. All right. So now let's and we'll get to relative frequency. Relative frequency is a 25-cent word for percentage. So you need to just put equals percentage. You hated what? It's not that hard, though.
No,
you got to realize a lot of people don't know what to do because they don't know what the words mean.
Yeah.
A relative frequency is a percentage. And I'm going to show you this down here, how easy it is. Look here. Here's the table that they were giving us, right here. Everybody see that right there? There's the table. I got to be a teacher, so let me do my Oh, heck, where is it? Hold on, I got to be a teacher, so I got to use a little marker. Y'all are impressed, aren't you? All right, so here is, oh, you ought to see some of the other teachers try to do that. Oh, my God. You talk about a meltdown. Here is the frequency table on the previous page. And what do? Well, if there's 4 A's in the class and 7 B's in the class and 9 C's in the class and 3 D's in the class and 2 F's in the class, then how many people are in the class? You add them up. So that is the total. And then you put each one over the total, and that's how you get the what? The percentage. And I guarantee you that if some of y'all had that question on a test and they asked for the frequency distribution or the relative frequency, y'all would leave it what? Blank, because you didn't know what the dadgum word meant. And all it is a percentage. 4 over 25, 7 over 25, 9 over 25, 3 over 25. See, a lot of times people don't know what to do in a accounting class or a probability of statistics class because they don't know what the words mean.
My stat teacher, she would just give you like the definitions and not really explain it.
Yeah.
And it's so bad.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of times people know how to do the math, but they don't know when to do it because they don't know the terminology.
That was exactly my problem.
That's a lot of problems in accounting. I talked to a lot of accounting teachers because of the math, and the accounting teachers tell me it's not the math. The math is just addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But they don't know when to do what because they don't study the terminology. They don't study the vocabulary words. They don't know what a dividend is. They don't know what a debt is. They got to study the definitions before they can do the math. Now, this is pretty useless, okay? What's cumulative mean? Somebody tell me what the definition of cumulative is. Okay, when I say an exam is to be cumulative, what does that mean?
It's like everything you covered put together.
Okay, everything you covered put together. That is a good definition of cumulative. So what would cumulative frequency mean? Frequency means head what?
Count.
Head count. So what's cumulative mean? That means the head count as we go.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the first one is 4, and then 4 plus 7 is, and then 11 plus 9 is, and 20 plus 3 is. It's useless, really. There is really, and I've not seen one in mathematics, a reason for cumulative frequency. Now, I may be totally ignorant, but I've never seen a reason for cumulative frequency. Maybe they give you one in the book, but I don't know. But there is a homework question, and there will probably be a test question on this one right here, 5.2. So make sure you have page 320, and what example was that?
It's
Hold on.
example 1.
I'm sorry, example 1 on page 320. That is a test question. It's also a standardized test question. It's also a homework question. We should be coming up on discrete and continuous sometime in the near future. I'm trying to get there, people, but since I went to whiteboard, everything's in the way. There we go. All right. That's Excel. That's, okay, bar graphs and pie charts. There is a bar graph and there is a pie chart. Now I'm going to tell you something really silly here, and you need to write down this word, histogram. And I'm going to really tell you something here. It's really mind-blowing. Oh, I can't even spell it. I spell history. Histogram. What is a histogram? It is a bar chart that's it. And every time I go over a histogram, you know what I see? I see a statistician trying to justify his job and make up things just to apply to his job. Okay? Or her job. There is no reason for a histogram. It does nothing. It's a bar chart. But I personally think somebody made it up just to put it in statistics, so it'd be another definition to learn in statistics. Because there is no difference between a histogram and a bar chart other than the bars touch. Now somebody tell me the mathematical reason behind that. There is none. It's just a different way to write a bar chart, and they call it a histogram. Make sure you know the difference between a histogram and a bar chart. They touch. That's really irrelevant. But I want you to know how to read a bar chart, and I want you to know how to read a pie graph. Now, let's say that A is rent. Let's say that F is recreation. Let's say that D is utilities. Let's say that that is rent. Car payment, car and gas. And let's say that this is
mortgage,
books and tuition. And let's say that you make $1,200 a month. All right? Somebody tell me how much you spent on rent. Take your calculators out and tell me how much you spent on rent. Time's class over. Now?
Yeah.
Dang it. I hate these Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. Yep, it's over at 10, so we got to shut up. Somebody tell me what that is. Rent is 1,200 times 0.16.
$192.
$192. I'm just going to, is that rounded or decimals or what?
No, it's straight up.
Okay. So that's how you read it. So somebody do 1,200 times 0.08 for recreation.
96.
And that's how you do a bar chart. Okay? You got to be able to convert your money or your population from a percentage into a number. Okay, I got to shut up because some of y'all will self-combust since it's 10 o'clock. Let me stop the recording.